Alright, hello again. I'm Eric with the Elkridge branch of the Howard County Library, and today what I'd like to do is take a look at replacing some deck boards. So I have a friend here with me, of course. So what happens with these, we get a lot of questions for this at the DIY Center. Your deck, whether it's made of pressure treated lumber or whether it's made of, this could be cedar, it could be redwood, but eventually it gets a little worn out, the boards start to twist, they start to bend, and so we get a lot of people that come in and we have all the tools that you would need there, to include the miter saw, to include an impact driver, to include a drill, to include some pry bars to get off those difficult boards that you just can't get to. Pretty much everything you need. And it is a very simple project. You just need to know a few skills, and usually you just have to replace a board or two. So let's take a look at this right now. So the first thing you're going to do is determine what's holding this deck board on here. That's really important. So it could be a variety of screw heads. It could even be nails, depending how old it is. If it's nails, you're going to have to pry it out. If it's a screw of any kind, you're going to have to either use a drill or an impact driver. You have to get the right bit and extract the screw. If you don't know what bit to buy, what I would advise you to do is take a little picture, come by and see us at the DIY Center, and our experts there will be able to help you and tell you what kind of bit to buy so you can extract the screws. And then we can lend you the tool as well. If it is nailed, as I said, you're going to have to pry. Some people, if it's an actual deck, you may have to get under and find something to bang it upward to kind of get it started, if that makes sense, and then subsequently pry the rest of the board off. But I don't have to do that. I'm just going to replace a couple stairs here. And these are screwed. They have a star bit, and I knew that because I knew it from a little experience. But that's about it. So let's extract this board, which is pretty easy. And don't forget, if you're on your knees working, I have some knee pads under here. Get something soft to knee on. You don't want to be kneeling on a hard deck or brick patio like this. And get some safety glasses too, because you don't want to have anything fly in your eyes. And then again, impact driver, get the screw, make sure it's in there. As easy as that, and we'll continue on. The other thing is, you can look on the drill or the driver, and you can see one arrow going forward, one arrow going backwards. You obviously want to go backwards because you're going to pull the screw out. So we'll just continue on. So just in case you think everything goes right all the time, it definitely does not. So I sped through there. You may not have noticed, but I had a couple screws that just wouldn't come out of there. That's going to happen. It'd be easier if it's nails because you could pry it off with screws. They're down in there, so it's a little harder. You can get like extractor bits. You'd have to buy these. We're not going to lend these to you. They're a little bit pricey because they're made out of titanium. I tried that, didn't really work. I would have caught it on there, but it just fails sometimes. Essentially, you drill a little hole and then you try to extract it out. So we're going to have to go with some big power here. So you can borrow this from us too. This is a cordless reciprocating saw, which is very nice. And in fact, if you're doing a deck, you could always start, make sure you get the proper blade. You'll have to buy the blade. You could always cut right there, and you'll see that too, and then take the board out from there in sections. But what I'm going to try to do is get under here to get this screw out of here and cut the screw. So this is a bit for metal because I really want to preserve these boards. These are, as I said, cedar, and I'll repurpose these for something else. And the rest of the screws I'll also reuse, so as long as the screws are in good shape. So let's see if I can get under here and do some damage here. That's it. Pretty nice, huh? Almost it. Maybe I need to cut a little bit more. Something is keeping this down. Oh, I think I forgot a screw. So that's good. And there we go. Board off. And I have another one stuck, so we'll get that one off too. There's quite a bit of debris under here. So let's see. And remember, you can always go back to the pry bar too, but I don't think this one is going to pry out. Again, it's a screw. But essentially we're going to do this. I did get it, so that's good. There we go. This is not scripted. We have seen all the options for getting this off. All right, out. So let's put on our new boards now. Clean this up maybe a little bit too. All right, so now both boards taken off. I got my new board here. And so since I didn't have to match anything, which you very well may, and we can help you, we can advise you on what the proper material is, and you can go to the home center, the lumber yard, and figure out what that is. But what I did here, because I had this before, what this is a piece of composite decking. Since I only have two pieces, it's kind of expensive, but we're going to do this, and if you have a composite decking, the only thing you ever really have to do with it is maybe give it a cleaning, maybe a power washing, which are coming soon to the DIY center, by the way. So I got my new piece on there. And that looks all great. I think it's going to be a nice color. They call it, I call it composite, but the name brand is Trex. If you've ever heard of a Trex deck, that's what this is. So, and what you can do with your, remember, you can take up your old piece, you could put it next to the new piece and just draw that off. You can measure that. You can borrow a tape measure from us too, and then you can figure out what it is. In this case, I actually went to the lumber yard, and I knew I needed two 6-foot lengths, and they had a 12-footer. I asked them to cut it in half for me. They did. So I'm just going to go with that. But if you do need to cut it, remember we have miter saws, and you can see another video that I have created that will show how to use one of those. So I just want to make sure I have the similar offset. So it's about 3. It's about 3 also. So that is actually pretty good. I can pull it a little bit more. Make sure I'm even. 2 3/4. And 2 3/4. So I can't complain about that. I'm going to get this nice and snug. Now, remember, as I said before, I'm going to reuse the screws just to be a little greener. And these are some really nice stainless screws. You may not be able to do that. Some of them may be worn out. They may be stripped or whatever. So remember, when you're doing a deck and you go to the home center, the hardware store, the lumber yard to buy screws, you need to make sure you're buying something that says exterior decking. They come in a variety of colors now. You can get them to match. So just make sure it says exterior. They're not going to rust, because otherwise you'll put a screw in here, and then in a couple weeks around here you'll have it'll be rusty right where that hole is. But these are not going to rust, so that's good. And I'm going to have to add a couple, because remember I lost one. So the other important thing is, I think I've probably told this story before, when I was a very young and impatient person, I would just drive screws right into boards and forget about it. But the problem with that is boards can split, it can cause damage. So what you want to do is you need to pre-drill. So that means get your drill, get your driver. So you want to pre-drill your hole. They call it a pilot hole. Now the way you're going to do this is you're going to take the screw, you're going to look at the diameter of the screw. So in theory, a pilot hole should be, the drill bit should be the same diameter as the screw without the threads. You can look this up on the internet, and that's pretty much what you need to do, because all you want are the threads on this screw to catch in there. You don't want to make it hard for yourself to drive or anything like this. We're going to put 2 screws per board, per joist that's running across here. The other thing I would say is, when you have a deck board off or a step board, and maybe you don't get to look under there very often, take a look at the supporting boards underneath. These will very often be treated lumber, like a green-yellow color. Make sure none of that is rotted. Everything under there looks solid. You can check the spacing. We have books and DVDs and online help for deck building and deck standards and things. You can also always call the county and see if there was a permit for your deck, which will make sure, if you didn't build it yourself or pay someone to build it, to make sure it was done properly and the supports are there, because you don't want to replace a board You know, you don't want to put a new board onto old and rotting material. So let's go ahead. That said, we'll do pilot holes. Now, the other thing is, remember, you need to make sure that you're hitting the joist under here, right? So 2 screws, I can kind of see where that is, but if you don't feel like you're confident on that, take a square, and you can borrow this from us. You can make a light line here in the center, so you kind of know where you are. This will wear off. You can erase it if you're really worried about it. But that way you know where your screws are going to go, because you don't want to miss that, because if you're drilling over here, you're going to miss the board, and then it's not holding anything. So safety glasses on. You can tell too, with a little practice, you can tell if you've hit a board. And that was easy peasy. Let's drill another hole, and again, it's good to have my line. I can see on here. And that's that. Now let's put our screw in there. And we're going to do what people would call face nailing, or drive a screw in the face. That means the face of the board, which is at the top. And probably if you have a deck that you're trying to repair, it probably has, you're going to have to match it, and it's all done on the face. Now they have new things where they have clips that go under here that they screw in, so it's all different. If you go and see a new composite deck, you can't even tell where the screws are. Probably not the case if you're replacing a board, but maybe. And then you could go to the home center, and you could, once you take it apart, you could investigate exactly what's under there and what kind of fastener you would need. So let's go ahead and put this in. Again, give it a couple pumps. And what's important here too is that you countersink it. It might be a little hard to see on camera, but countersink it means you sink it down just below the surface. So that way, when you or anyone else is walking on it, you're not kicking up a screw. So you don't want it on the surface, especially if you have your shoes off. So you just want to take it a little beneath the surface, and it comes with practice. The other thing is if you don't feel confident in, I've done this a lot of times to a lot of different boards and things. But practice, you know, set up a little thing, practice drilling, driving, and then you'll be all good. We will continue on like so. And again, this is the beauty of having both tools, both the driver and the drill. You may encounter some difficult angles. Alright, so that's it. Figured I'd spare you some of the drilling. 2 deck boards replaced. I think it looks better, personally. I hope you do too. So as you can see, it's a pretty easy project to take on. I hope you'll give it a shot. I hope you'll come by and see us at the Elkridge branch, or any of our branches, because we're actually back to our full hours now. So please come by and see us. And you can get some advice at Elkridge on how to replace some of your deck boards, and you can borrow all the tools that you need. So I hope you're doing well, and take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.